They've been knowing what's going on, but it's other people in power and people in control and cahoots. So they make a lot of decisions together to keep clean. Same thing with R. Kelly. If you piss the wrong fuckers off, even though as a black person you're productive and of value, they will take their hands off of you and fuck you up. And you know what you about to see it with Drake right now.
I think so.
I always thought that's with Bill Cosby.
I think so.
You about to see it with Drake right now.
I think so. I told you that earlier.
With Drake right now.
I didn't know how they was going to do it. I didn't know how they was going to do it, though. But when I seen this case come up, I said, oh, here we go.
They're about to do it to Drake right now. So
all right, so I had to spin back and get to this Drake RICO lawsuit situation. Now, I done watched a bunch of content on this, and so I got some clips in this video that I'm going to use. But I think that this is more than about just a lawsuit. Maybe the lawsuit goes somewhere, maybe it doesn't. Maybe the people get paid, maybe they don't. We're going to cover all of that. But I do think it is the beginnings of probably what's to come, as far as you can look at it as the takedown of Drake for what he did, retaliation, however you want to phrase it. Glasses Malone actually made some good points in one of his videos. So did Curtis King. But yeah, this is more. This is about more than just some so-called gambling RICO and what Stake is doing and all of that. There's a lot more to it, and there's a lot more people behind it. I agree with that. For those Drake fans who saying there's people behind this and this is, y'all probably right, but he asked for it. So there you have it. Now let's start off with a clip from Nolan. All right.
And I do want to salute Chig Smooth for getting to Daniel Wallach for the interview. You know what I'm saying? That actually showed a bit of I ain't gonna say journalistic skill, but definitely showed some good intuition to like tackle the subject immediately with the person who broke the story. That was very smart of you.
And for those of y'all who don't know or who don't watch Chiggs' channel or whatever, Chiggs actually did an interview with this guy who's an attorney in the gambling space, sports betting. And he essentially, and they're going to get into it in this clip, he essentially saying, though, that most of these cases never make it to a jury, and one or two things happen because of arbitration clauses in these terms of service, which is real slick in and of itself. I mean, I sell online, and this is what the online platforms do. They basically say you can't sue them. You got to take it to arbitration because they know 9 times out of 10 it's going to end in their favor. But it's either going to be because the arbitration clauses or it may end in a settlement. So that could be the goal, though, to get a settlement. But this specific thing, I think, it's more than about trying to get a settlement or anything like that. And we'll get into that when we get to Glasses' clip.
Let's get to it.
I'm surprised that there were no gambling causes of action asserted, in that the plaintiffs led with the most difficult theory imaginable, which is racketeering, RICO cause of action, which really makes their job infinitely more difficult. I have to emphasize, this is a civil lawsuit. It's not a governmental lawsuit. It's not a criminal prosecution. And many civil lawsuits are filed against sweepstakes companies, and they rarely go anywhere. They either get dismissed early on in the proceedings because the terms of service with the website require mandatory arbitration to resolve any and all customer disputes. And if it ever gets past an arbitration defense, these lawyers who represent the plaintiffs are not in this for justice. They're in this to collect a nice, big, fat contingent fee. Yeah. And before it ever gets too far, companies like Stake and the representatives for Drake and for Adin Ross and George Nagayan would probably, write a check and cover the damages and pay the lawyers $5 million, $10 million, or $20 million just to go away, with Stake footing the entirety of that bill. So this likely will never, ever land at the doorstep of Drake, other than having his name publicized in the case. Very few.
So that's interesting. He's saying that he believes that Stake is going to foot the bill to get this thing silenced, basically, before it even gets to Drake, other than the papers being served and the media, he feels like Stake is going to put up millions of dollars to get these people to go away. I wonder how many millions they sitting on. You know what I mean? Especially if they pay allegedly paying Drake $100.
Well, shit, Nolan, they sitting on billions. I think they said Stake bringing in $5 billion a year. Let me see something. Ed Craven and Bijan Tehrani founded and run Stake.com, believed to be the largest crypto-backed online casino in the world. Stake.com generated $4.7 billion in revenue in 2024, despite crypto gambling being unavailable in the United States, UK, and much of Europe. So yeah, they playing with billions, man, not millions.
$1 million a year to represent the company. What type of bread are they bringing in from these people? God damn, I'm so grateful. But anyway, I find that to be very interesting. I also find it very interesting he pronounced that man name George Nagayan. Like, I saw a couple of y'all in the comments saying it's pronounced. It feels like this shit is just gonna get paid the fuck off and be done. Anyway, let's get back to it. All right. He says he feels like this shit is just gonna get paid the fuck off and be dust.
In the history of online gaming,
Yeah.
and online gaming litigation, only one single solitary time has a case like this gone to a jury. And it was a $25 million verdict against High Five Games in Washington State Federal Court roughly 2 years ago. And that's out of hundreds of lawsuits filed against social casinos, sweepstakes casinos, and all other types of illicit gambling websites. And the reason why so few of them end up in a payday is because they either get dismissed because the terms of service mandate the use of arbitration instead of litigation, or alternatively, Mr. Green comes along and writes a check and makes the plaintiffs go away. Paragraph 1. I mean, right out of the gate, in every lawsuit, the goal of the plaintiff's lawyers is to grab the judges by the lapel. You want to start strong. You want to establish your theme, and right out of the gate, this is a consumer class action to stop Stake, an illegal online gambling platform promoted by Drake to obscure transmissions of money in furtherance of their ongoing music botting campaigns from continuing to prey on customers and impose civil penalties on all defendants. So right out of the gate, you're hearing two separate distinct themes. That Stake is operating and promoting an illegal gambling website, which Drake is benefiting from and promoting himself, and Stake is being allegedly utilized by Drake and others to promote an artificial streaming campaign to artificially boost the number of plays on Spotify.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, not just that. Also, there's pretty much money laundering accusations through the vehicle of gifting, right? Using gifting to get around paying taxes and things like that. So
you have the illegal gambling part and the illegal or the artificial streaming component, the bots and the engagement farming, which I don't know, that may not necessarily violate a specific gambling law, but it certainly violates the terms of service of Spotify. And Spotify is already a defendant in a lawsuit brought by a rapper. I think it's RBX. Is there a rapper by the name of RBX? If I messed up the
And remember, RBX is the one who came to the people and said that Drake was botting, 300 million streams or something like that specifically. And he said that he had people do the forensic research on that. Remember, we just talked about that a couple months ago.
yeah, one thing we keep seeing though in all of these things is these botting claims. Not only are they not going away, they're just getting stronger and stronger and louder, man. It'd be interesting to see like how this, what this culminates into.
So it's interesting that we get that, and then we get this Stake lawsuit doubling down on the botting, but also saying that Stake money is being used in crypto transfers to Australia to the chat guy to clean the money and send off to the bots, right? I also think it's very interesting that before all this bot talk came about.
Now, we got to remember this. He's talking about the bots, the cleaning of the money, the user for the bots. You know, we heard Thug talk about the Connect, and I know all you Drake stands are going to be like, well, Drake is the biggest artist. Why he need to bot this, that, and the other? Well, there's all sorts of reasons he can bot, or he would want to bot. And one of the main is one that we'll get into when I go to the Curtis King clip. So y'all make sure y'all stick around. Make sure you like the video too, man. And what Curtis King said actually makes the most sense.
Right. People were trying to say, oh, it was all this stuff going on in Turkey. Oh, Universal and all the labels and Kendrick Lamar, they're paying people out in Turkey. Then RBX lawsuit come out and he say, well, based on my research, the motherfuckers that's getting the work done out in Turkey is Drake. And RBX ain't got no ties to none of this shit. He just trying to get his motherfucking payouts.
Right.
Because he feel like he's being undervalued, underpaid from Spotify. He's just using Drake as an example of why smaller artists ain't getting paid, because he's one of the biggest artists in the game, allegedly botting. So he already gets more market share based on his popularity and his stake in the major label system at Universal. But then if you're botting on top of that, that means that you're also making fraudulent money, which adds to your income or the income of your label, who then pays you out of whatever you're owed if you get that money. So all of this shit is crazy. It ain't crazy, but it's crazy that it's all coming out, especially after this man was out here accusing people of botting, and then that shit came right around.
The letters, well, somebody, a well-known rapper, has sued Spotify for not policing, the artificial streaming and the use of bots to artificially inflate the number of downloads. And that kind of practice harms other artists, because if someone like Drake has an artificially high number of downloads that's not based on any legitimate, authentic, fan support, it comes at the expense of other artists who are going to recover fewer amount of royalties, because royalties are presumably paid on percentage of overall number of downloads. And if one artist has a higher number and grabs a bigger piece of the pie, that operates to the detriment to all the other artists. So that's a separate lawsuit. That's presently pending in California federal court. This is somewhat related to that, but it has the gambling.
Right. Because they're saying that Drake is taking this money from the gambling, from the illegal or fraudulent stake. All
right, and we're going to leave that one right there. So that was just like the gist of it. If you want to see that whole interview that Chigs did, you can go check out his channel. But we kind of got, I think, a pretty good perspective of the lawsuit and what it's really about, kind of, right? So let's go over real quick to Curtis King's channel
to get some perspective from someone in that gambling community, or someone who is a recovering gambling addict, because that's what happens when you're exposed to things like that. You can become a fucking addict. Although these platforms, for whatever reason, allowed these guys to put this in front of kids, here's what somebody who is in recovery had to say about why Drake is becoming gambling's biggest fraudster. Whatever do you mean?
Now, Adin Ross, his offer was for $1.5 million per week, $78 million a year. Still an insane number to think about, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. Because Drake isn't just getting a base paycheck. He's directly profiting off his fans' losses, as are all of these online slot influencers. The key behind it all is referral codes. Every time someone signs up using Drake's code, he gets a percentage of their losses forever. This means that the more people lose, the more money drops.
And this ain't necessarily related to the botting thing, but I did have to throw this part in there. This is just some shiesty shit right here. To set you up to fail purposely, make it look like he's winning, not using his own money, just to get you to play, knowing that you nine times out of 10 gonna lose, so he can profit off of that, bro. Tell me that ain't dirty, bro. Tell me that ain't dirty, man. That's crazy.
Drake makes.
Whoa.
Influencers like Drake have a direct financial incentive to lie to their audience about their actual chances of winning. Before we continue exposing the truth about Drake and this ridiculous partnership, I just want to stop to introduce myself. I'm Rob, and I was someone who was negatively affected by these kinds of streams because I'm in recovery from a gambling addiction.
This is an adult, ladies and gentlemen. This is an adult, and this is someone who went through their own journey to get to the addiction that gambling can be. Imagine all the kids, just imagine all the kids that have been exposed to these Adin Ross streams, watching him gamble. And it's obviously geared towards kids. We can't say, well, where are the parents? I mean, you can say that, but we know what the appeal is. We know that these kids literally can't be on social media without being exposed to these ads that pull them into these live streams, and that really just kind of put them at the top of the funnel and eventually into the whole situation that is, boy, oh boy,
Diabolical, man.
steak.
Diabolical.
Man, you would think, you know, with a name like Steak, these guys would understand what's at stake. We're going to get some more details on this, but I wanted to come here to Demiza because Demiza said some things I thought were really interesting. Listen to his take on this.
Breaking news, Drake is now facing a federal RICO class action lawsuit in New York that could shake the foundation of how streaming numbers are trusted in modern music. Filed on New Year's Eve, the lawsuit alleges...
On New Year's Eve, let that sink in.
Somebody's gonna have to tell the truth, and I'm gonna tell it.
I think we're going to start to see a lot of weather come down on Drake's head. This, like when I think about all the content that I've made, I am proud of every single ounce of the content because this is the end of a regime that has been so problematic, such a bad influence, such a sassy influence. That's Barrett's. Such a sassy influence that has turned a lot of these kids. It's created a soundtrack to support their narcissism. It's created a soundtrack to support addictive personalities and gambling, and the guy that won't let the woman go even though she's married and she's in a relationship with somebody else. There was more than just the battle itself. The battle was the icing on the cake, but that cake's been cooking. A lot of us saw how problematic his leadership in the music business was. With that said, though, this could potentially shake up a lot of shit. Because if he's been playing with these numbers, which this is another reason why I didn't understand him being involved in that UMG lawsuit, because once you start asking UMG to pull up their paperwork, you got to pull up your paperwork. And once you start pulling up paperwork, you let everybody into your business. All the shit that you've been doing in the dark, you letting everybody in your business. And now it's no mystery why you have so many lawsuits. The other ones didn't go away. The news just stopped covering them. They're still active. The one with RBX, we're going to go to the list. The one with RBX, aka Snoop's cousin, that's still going.
That Drake worked with crypto gambling company Stake and streamer Adin Ross in a coordinated scheme to artificially inflate streams across major platforms like Spotify.
Good old money launderer. Remember that scene in Afro Butterfly? Remember that scene in Office Space? He was like, he asked the guy that came door to door. And the guy was like, "Hi, my name is so-and-so, and I'm selling these magazines." He's like, "You know about money laundering?" I feel like Drake is that kind of criminal because he did all this shit in the public eye.
According to the complaint, Stake's tipping feature was allegedly used as a financial pipeline, moving large sums of money disguised as giveaways, then routing those funds into automated streaming activity, commonly known as botting. Plaintiffs claim the goal was to fabricate demand, manipulate charts, and game recommendation from the algorithms.
Do you understand? Like, and I'm not rooting for the corporation when I say this, but do you understand how pissed off UMG probably is with Drake or has been with Drake? If it comes out that what they're alleging has even a shred of truth to it, you mean to tell me if your streaming numbers are part of the thing that helps you to build leverage as you're going in seeking a new deal, you're seeking a follow-up deal to your big-ass $500, $600 million contract, as you're using these numbers for leverage to show how valuable your catalog is, but it comes out that you've been using this stake situation to bot those streams, but like cover up any kind of like trace of that. Not only is that bad for the people who have been paying you out, like the Opifys, because they've been paying you out money that you have not earned. People know that botting goes on, by the way. These companies know it. They partake in it allegedly, if you ask me, allegedly. We've seen Russ talk about it before also. But you partake in this, you exposed everybody as if your hands were clean. Now here you are and you lost your lawsuit against UMG. What did you think was going to happen? If Michael Jackson couldn't beat these companies, if Prince couldn't beat these companies, what made you think you were bigger than the program? Like, hate the corporations all you want, but understand the gangster that you're dealing with.
Oh, and right here is the main point, y'all. The fact that people think, oh, why would Drake need to bot? He's already big and this and that, and he got a lot of fans and people love his music. All right, whatever. The point wasn't that. The point was chart manipulation. The point was streaming manipulation. The goal was bigger contract money, right? Because if I can show these metrics, okay, and then I seen Academics clip with him, and he was going through who he thought was behind all of this, and of course, one of the people he landed on was Roc Nation. He said he don't think UMG would do it because it would expose them as being the ones who bought it, but I'm not too sure about that either, because UMG, even if they were paying somebody to bot, they can cover their own tracks, right? But you can still expose Drake and his clandestine actions, I guess, what he thought was clandestine, and to bot his own stuff in order to manipulate numbers in order to receive a bigger payout, right? This is why, you know, so that would be the goal. And honestly, this kind of makes sense to me. And I can see that being the reason. The reason wouldn't necessarily be just to get another 100,000, 500,000, few million streams just to add to. No, the reason would be to do this consistently over time to make it, well, yeah, for sure, to make it look like you're the biggest artist, for sure, definitely. But to demand more money because of those metrics, right?
We about to find out. When they filing shit on New Year's Eve, my spidey senses says this is not just two young ladies that are filing this. This tells me someone gave them further information or even encouraged them. Maybe I could say UMG. I don't know for sure. Someone has given them extra confidence to say, if you do this, you may have some support in places that you would least expect it. And on top of that, all this shit is happening in the public eye, and it continues to deteriorate his brand, whether or not he's guilty or not. It continues to do damage.
Right. And to that point, to that last point, let's go listen to what Glasses Malone had to say about this situation.
That's book. And he said that, right? Same thing with Diddy. When power took their real hands, when real wealth took their hands off of him, Diageo, the people was able to come in there and do that shit. They been knowing what's going on, but it's other people in power and people in control and cahoots. So they make a lot of decisions together to keep shit clean. Same thing with R. Kelly. If you piss the wrong motherfuckers off, even though as a black person you're productive and of value, they will take their hands off of you and fuck you up. And you know what you about to see with Drake right now.
I think so.
I always thought that same shit with Bill Cosby.
I think so.
You about to see it with Drake right fucking now.
I think so. I told you that earlier.
Drake right now.
I didn't know how they was going to do it. I didn't know how they was going to do it, though. But when I seen this case come up, I said, oh, here we go.
They're about to do it to Drake right now. So right now, his legal situation, right, is a lawsuit civilly. But whenever people start throwing flags in the air and people get enough information about what you're doing in your inner workings, and that go public, that make the people start investigating. Do you think?
See, that right there might be the point of all of it, right? Because if you have enough breadcrumbs in these lawsuits, it almost forces the hand of law enforcement to take a closer look, does it not? Depending on what those breadcrumbs is, and if you have multiple of these situations coming out by different people filing this, that, and the other, it's going to get somebody's attention. They're going to have to move forward. Hey, man, Kendrick said the embassy about to get raided too. It's only a matter of time, but maybe not necessarily for the PDF, but it might be for something else. You know what I mean? And the embassy might still be getting raided too. You know, It just might be for some money laundering. They might need those computers and those phones and stuff, man. But yeah, so this might be the ultimate goal. Now we just left off what Curtis King said about someone supplying information to these third, fourth parties in order to put in these lawsuits. And the ultimate goal isn't necessarily the outcome of the lawsuit. The ultimate goal is what Glasses said, to put up these flags to get someone's attention in order for a legal case to start being built.
As soon as that shit happened with Drake, they just start going through shit with a fine-tooth comb.
They've been going through it. So now
No.
start looking at all of the raids in Australia at UMG, the raids in this place in UMG. They're tying it all together. And right now, here is this live civil suit with these two girls, right? That's going to change the public opinion's mind on you, right? This is what happened to Puff, right? When her lawsuit got financed at that level, right? When Cassie's lawsuit got financed at that level, when it got that much coverage, it weakened Puff in the public's eye. They start the fight, right? They start the fight in the public's eye. They start the fight in the public's eye, right? And they start immediately punching on you. So everybody look crazy, right? So now you look.
Man, that makes so much sense, don't it? That makes so much sense, man. And that's definitely how they work. They start to change your public perception, especially if you are beloved, right? They need to make it to where you start to look like the enemy, where you start to look like maybe even you deserve what's happening. You're not such a good person. You've been putting up a front. You're a fraud. Whatever they can do, it don't matter if it's true or not. Truth be damned at that point, right?
Crazy, right? And then now here is the charges. Here's the attack. They've been doing it to him for the last few times. They're letting shit happen and it's going public a lot of times. And the crazy part is you got Act, right? And Act your ass know better because you keep saying you're on the sidewalk, but it's coming out that you fucking up. You got that little man that be doing all that shit that run your little side pages. He fucking up.
He's part of that lawsuit, right?
Yep. So y'all fucking up. And the boy that people keep thinking got power, Adin, is fucking up. So now y'all all in cahoots on this situation.
Yeah, even that lawsuit also, right?
Yes, right.
So to explain it, though, can you explain a little bit upon like what this lawsuit is like all within though? Like what they did. I know I read up on it though.
It's another lawsuit about them being the reason they're false advertising and convincing people to gamble. Right. So it's not a
influence though, but it's all about influence though, right? It's all about influence.
But it's also not just off that, it's also the fact that they're talking about how they're moving hundreds of thousands of dollars around without being taxed. They talking about how in this civil lawsuit, right? Because it's a civil RICO lawsuit, right? So you moving money around without it being caught. How y'all spending the money to actually bot songs, right, and hit UMG for money. And there's one other element of it that's fucked up. That's why they've been raiding and doing all of this shit. You know what I'm saying? Because they're building a case. Right. And so when this civil suit comes out with this random person that know entirely too much about your fucking business, they lining you up. And it's fucked up, homie. They're lining you up. They're lining Drake up. And he's smart enough to know.
I don't think he's smart enough to know, but Charles Brown did a video. Y'all should check it out, man. It's called Drake is a Terrible Criminal. The 38-minute joint, man, but it's worth every minute. I ain't gonna lie. And Drake is a terrible criminal. So honestly, this right here, what Glasses was pointing out, this kind of brings the picture together. And look, I don't know how much all this stuff is true. I don't know what the outcome going to be, how far it's going to go, but it makes sense, man. Somebody's behind supplying info. Y'all remember we go back to the clip with Adin and the PI that called him. It was a lady, and she's like, she was talking about the bot, and she was like, we don't think, or we don't guess, we know. So what do they know, right? And ultimately, the goal of all of this ultimately might not be the civil aspect. It might be to get the attention of law enforcement to start an investigation. Hey, this whole case is on the Law and Crime Network too. They was talking about it over there. So this is getting a lot of attention, man. This is all over the place. You know, the Law and Crime Network, They ain't just gonna cover something if they, just any old thing. So they've been on top of this. They really didn't take a position one way or another necessarily, but they're covering it, and they got a pretty wide audience as well. So it's getting attention. It's getting attention, and we'll see what happens. But yeah, I think this is ultimately what it's about. The money laundering aspect. It's about the chart manipulation and metric manipulation, trying to get money from UMG, and yeah, and ultimately reputation. Destroying his reputation. I think UMGs and Spotify's and them, they look at it as, you want to destroy our reputation, you want to sully our reputation, we got you. We're gonna show you what it means. Like, these are businesses, right? These are corporations. So at the end of the day, Spotify, UMG, Apple, you're really just trying to sully the name, but the name is the name, and it's going to be the name, and regardless, it's going to keep going. But we got something for you, Drake, Aubrey, the person. We can do way more to you to hurt you than you can to us.
So right now, this is a what you call this right now? A civil RICO case right now?
Yeah, but that's not the thing. It's a lawsuit. That's a civil RICO case. But that's a flag because somebody behind that is pressing that.
Exactly.
They're about to they're weakening him in the public eye. And the problem is all the shield that you have, the shield, right? You had a shield of UMG. Yeah. You had a shield of Spotify. You had a shield of iHeart. Yeah. And you decided to try to flag them and have the people get in their business. These people been in business with all these same people all these years.
So his protection is gone.
Just like Puff, when Diageo, your protection is gone. Just like R. Kelly, your protection is gone. So any unsavory thing you doing, they coming. Mark, they coming for him, bro. They're coming. And them people not in the way.
Damn, bro. L after L. When you talk about making bad move after bad move, this is the worst move. The worst move wasn't even battling Kendrick. The worst move was just not being able to move on from the battle. That would have been his best move. Make your next move your best move. This fool, man. Sheesh, talking about fumbling.
They lining you up. They weakening you in the court of public opinion. They're fucking with you. And this is when you about to realize you are black. I don't give a fuck how you was raised. You not them. And not to mention, you tried to blow the whistle on them. You tried to do something that you know could actually have the federal government get involved in these people's business.
Right.
And you knew it because that's the shit that they do for you. But you did all this shit to do. That shit's stupid. And now you then made it to where they're like, okay, cool. They know what's going on. That type of money, that type of wealth that them people's all affiliated with, all them UMGs and Spotify's and iHearts, they been up on it. They knew what was happening. They just out the way now. You finna have to deal with it yourself.
I'm interested to see how this case affects Drake and Adin. Like, is it gonna affect them differently?
I think it is.
Somebody going to prison.
It's going back.
Damn, he said somebody going to prison. Sheesh. That's a heavy claim, y'all.
And they also got it, Coach.
Yes.
Coach, they also got it going back to like trying to make it seem as if they was funneling the money from that in order to boost up
their streams.
Streams. Yeah.
But
that's being mentioned and shit though too.
But they're lining him up for a real case.
Yeah, imagine Drake going down for listen, I don't put jail on my worst enemy, B. I hope to God that shit don't happen to him though, B. I'm gonna tell you for real though. I'm gonna be honest.
Hey, when people say they don't wish stuff on their worst enemy, that's some BS. Listen, if you my worst enemy, I wish every bad thing that could happen to a person happen to you. If you my worst enemy, that means it's bad. Yeah. I don't agree with that saying. I don't wish this or I don't wish that on my worst enemy. If you my worst enemy, any bad thing that could ever happen in the history of bad things, yeah, I wish that it happened to you. I ain't even gonna hold
honest with you right now. I hope to God that don't know shit like that happen to him, B. On some real shit, B.
So
what's up?
Imagine Drake in prison.
That's what I'm saying, bro. That's what I'm thinking about, bro. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see. I don't want to see Adrian and Aubrey up in the motherfucking. That's that. Matter of fact, that's that man's name too. We're not calling that man Adin no more. That nigga name is Adrian, B. You know what I'm saying? On some real shit. The nigga name is Adrian from here. It's Adrian and Aubrey. You know what I'm saying? Like that. That's what we going with right there. But I don't want to put the people behind them. You know what I'm saying? Behind them fences, man, like that. B. We're not.
It ain't about what we want, right? It's like this is why you don't. This is why when this shit first started, and I kept saying, I said, man, that's stupid. He should stop playing with them.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did.
I'm like, this is gonna go really bad if you keep playing with them.
Nah, he bit the hand that fed him.
Yeah.
It's gonna go really bad. These people that spent too much money, they trusted you. They fucked with you for years. They gave you all the best looks. They did everything. And this is the moment, homie, that you're gonna wait and do all of this shit. Like you're gonna, because you lost a rap battle. Like that's stupid.
Yeah.
You can't tell them what to do. Yeah, you can't tell them if they got a song that's blowing up. You know the difference. You know the difference. You knew why that song was blowing up because it's a record.
Somebody lying. What we lying about?
It don't listen. You gonna realize it's different because if they was just that, if they was this who they praying to matter, then they would have never sued them. If who they pray to matter, then they would have never sued them. They would have never tried to bring the federal government into their business if it was about them having a relationship because who they pray to. You're going to see firsthand that they going to realize he not one of them. And they finna show you that he one of us. He black anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're going to really get to see, he going to really get to see he black after he see his punishment and the rest of the white boys' punishment be a little different.
That's a fact. But I don't want to put that on. I'm not putting it on.
Even though
he better figure out his shit and he better make right with them people.
Yeah.
He better go make right with them people.
Go kiss some ass, man. Pucker them lips up, boy. Man, put some motherfucking Carmex on. Go in there and say sorry to Master Lucian, man. Yeah, it's a little too late for all that, but yeah, I don't know if anybody Drake and them is going to jail or not. I don't know about that, but yeah. He said he better go make up.
You better go make right with them people.
You make right now?
I don't give a fuck what you got to do. You better figure it out.
No, it might be past the point of no return.
I think we might be past that.
Might be a wrap.
Even though go make right with them.
Even though Trap, I think Adin do fine in prison though. I think Adin do fine.
only way you can make up is if you come out publicly and be like, yeah, y'all, those lawsuits and things like that, that was a bunch of BS. I was just mad. They really didn't do nothing. But even though he's not going to do that, but you would have to like publicly admit that you was out of pocket. Also, I found it interesting that when Drake filed his so-called RICO lawsuit, his fans was, oh yeah, Drake's going to bring down the industry. This is it, man. Everybody's going down. But then when the RICO lawsuit's filed against him, it's like, oh, this ain't going nowhere. This is bullshit. What are they doing? Are they stupid? Double standard is crazy, bro.
Yeah, he gonna find the first pocket. He gonna be in some.
He gonna hold somebody's pocket. He gonna walk around.
I can see him.
Hey, Adin definitely gonna be holding somebody's pocket. Ain't no doubt about it.
Wouldn't have no problem in prison.
That nigga grabbing somebody's pocket real quick. Real quick.
What pocket? Where the pocket at?
Where the pocket at?
All right, we're gonna stop that right there. So yeah, man. Ultimately, I think that this is what this is all about. This is what this is all about. It's not necessarily about the lawsuit. Look, we heard what the attorney said, and you got to give him some credence. I mean, he's involved in this on a daily. Like he said, there's only one case that ever went to jury and ended in a settlement, and that was high five. But that doesn't mean that those other cases didn't end in settlements either. So I think that's an important distinction, that just because it doesn't go to the next level and go to a jury doesn't mean that the plaintiffs don't win, right? Hey, you get a settlement, that's a win, if you ask me. So we'll see what that's about. But ultimately, again, I think it's more about these flags, like Glass has said, and even like Curtis King was talking about. It's more about somebody behind the scenes supplying the information, and this might just be the beginning. And like Glass has said, they did it to, this ain't the first time, right? Whether it's R. Kelly, whether it's Mike, whether it's whoever that goes up against the machine, they got a million ways from Sunday to get you, man. To get you. And this might just be the beginning, and the embassy might still be getting raided, just not for what we thought at first, right? But y'all let me know what y'all think about this in the comment section below. Make sure you hype this video up, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. I'll see you in the next one.